Sainz, the winner of the Singapore Grand Prix.
La vittoria più importante è quella che devo ancora conseguire.
The Ferrari drama has reached a boiling point, and this time it's not just about speed. During the Japanese Grand Prix, two of Formula One's biggest stars, Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc, found themselves in an explosive battle off the track, exposing cracks within the Scuderia's foundation. It's not what happened on the circuit that shocked everyone, but what was said over the team radios. Have you ever wondered what goes on when the pressure is on and the tension between driver and team is at its peak? What happens when the voices of two world-class drivers, each with their own legacy, clash with a team's failing strategy? Today, we're diving into the shocking radio messages that have everyone talking, the hidden issues Ferrari doesn't want you to know about, and what this means for the future of the team.
That he'd made it to Formula One, that he'd signed the contract. It wasn't true then, but his driving has made it true now. And look what he's done with the opportunity.
Stay tuned, because what we're about to uncover might just be the breaking point for Ferrari's 2025 season. Before we dive in, hit that like button, subscribe to Cars Exposed, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out on the latest inside scoop on Ferrari's tumultuous journey this season. You're not going to want to miss what's coming next. Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc, two drivers with vastly different backgrounds but one shared objective, to win in Formula One, shocked the paddock during the Japanese Grand Prix. But not for their on-track battles. It was their radio messages that really raised eyebrows, as frustrations with Ferrari's SF25 car boiled over in the heat of the race. Throughout the race, it became clear that Hamilton was struggling to find pace in the SF25. His request for more detailed feedback from his engineer was met with a vague, almost dismissive response. Turns 8, 9, 13, and 14. Hamilton, clearly unsatisfied, didn't let it slide. His reply, calm but clearly frustrated, was simple. Okay, but how much? Let me know.
There are only a handful of special first times in life. I honestly thought that I'd had all my firsts and, nothing was ever going to be new again.
Now, let's pause here. What exactly does this exchange reveal about Ferrari's technical communication? A driver like Hamilton, who has been in F1 for over a decade and is known for his sharp mind and attention to detail, wasn't asking for vague generalizations. He wanted the specifics. How far behind was he? How much time was he losing? This type of communication is absolutely crucial in a high-stakes environment like Formula One, where every tenth of a second counts. But Ferrari's response? Far from what Hamilton needed. And that leads us to a deeper question. How can a team of Ferrari's stature afford such gaps in crucial race data?
Oscar, do you think there's any chance we can one stop?
I don't think so. Front left is pretty dead.
Understood.
There's not many laps left in this Grand Prix, though. It's 23 seconds for a pit stop. Piastri saying, let's have another pit stop, but...
At the same time, Charles Leclerc, another F1 superstar, was engaged in a different kind of frustration with his engineers. He was instructed to adjust his engine braking settings during the race. His response, however, was blunt and uncharacteristic for the typically composed Leclerc. Yes, you've already told me. I don't do it for a reason. Now, Leclerc is not one to show open defiance. He's known for his patient and level-headed approach. So when he responds like this, it sends a clear signal. The advice he was receiving from the team wasn't reflecting the reality he was experiencing on track. It was a rare moment where the trust between driver and engineer completely broke down. This wasn't just a random glitch in communication, it was part of a much larger picture that's been unfolding since the start of the 2025 season. Ferrari's SF25 car, meant to be the team's resurgence vehicle, has been nothing short of a disappointment. Leclerc himself summed it up best after finishing fourth in Japan, calling the race annoying and lamenting that he was completely on his own. Despite executing a clean race with no major mistakes, he was still 16 seconds off the lead. That's a significant gap, especially at Suzuka, a circuit where Ferrari has historically been strong. Hamilton, who finished 7th, echoed similar frustrations. He revealed that a key component of his SF25 had been underperforming since the start of the season. Ferrari had only recently identified the issue, 3 races into the 2025 season. To make matters worse, Hamilton had been racing with this problem without knowing, which raised serious questions about Ferrari's internal checks and quality control. Let's take a moment to talk about the SF25 itself. Ferrari's design philosophy for the SF25 was meant to focus on balance, better downforce, and a more predictable aerodynamic platform. However, the car is plagued by several weaknesses. Its setup window is incredibly narrow, meaning it's highly sensitive to changes in ride height. It also lacks the downforce that teams like Red Bull and McLaren have mastered. Leclerc's comment that the balance was fine, but the performance simply wasn't there, underscores the fact that Ferrari has been unable to get the SF25 to perform at its full potential, even with optimal settings. In a competitive field like F1, a car that can't reach its maximum performance, no matter how good the driver is, puts the team at a huge disadvantage. But the problems at Ferrari aren't just about the SF25. The car's underperformance is just the surface-level symptom of much deeper systemic issues within the team. Let's break it down. First come the technical fragility. The car's design is flawed in key areas. Its lack of downforce and sensitivity to ride height are two major hurdles. These aren't minor issues. They are fundamental design flaws that affect every aspect of the race weekend. When you're not fast enough, the entire team feels the pressure. Then comes the flawed development philosophy. Ferrari's development approach seems to be off track. Instead of continuing to improve areas of strength, they've focused on areas that have led to diminishing returns. This reflects a lack of coherent vision in terms of long-term strategy. The third drawback is the breakdown in operational confidence. The radio conversations between Hamilton and Leclerc are a telling sign of how poor the communication has been between the drivers and the engineers. When drivers can't trust the feedback they're getting in real time, it becomes nearly impossible for them to perform at their peak. Another area where Ferrari faltered was in their race strategy. Throughout the weekend, the team opted for the safest route possible. Leclerc started on medium tyres and then switched to hard tyres, a fairly predictable strategy with little to no risk-taking. There was no attempt at an undercut or any bold moves that might have gained them an advantage. This kind of play-it-safe mentality might work in certain situations, but in a season where every team is vying for a title, a lack of tactical aggression can quickly become the difference between winning and settling for 4th or 7th. But the most alarming issue at Ferrari, the growing divide between their drivers and engineers. Hamilton, a 7-time world champion, is undoubtedly one of the most experienced drivers in F1. His expectations are high and he demands perfection, both from himself and the team, but his arrival at Ferrari has only added to the team's pressure. Jacques Villeneuve, a former F1 world champion, was quick to point out that Hamilton hasn't just joined Ferrari, he's effectively reshaping it. At Mercedes, Hamilton built a team around his own style of racing. Ferrari's current setup, however, is designed around Leclerc, a driver who has been Ferrari's emotional leader since 2019. This brings us to a bigger question. Can Ferrari continue to operate as a team built around Leclerc while trying to accommodate Hamilton's demands? And if they can't, how does the team move forward without creating further rifts? Naomi Schiff, a motorsport expert, has suggested that Ferrari is facing an identity crisis. Is this still Leclerc's team, or is it now Hamilton's? The Scuderia has always prided itself on its legacy and its dominance in Formula 1, but right now it seems like they're struggling to find their place in the modern sport, and that's a real problem. So, what's next for Ferrari? They have the resources, the facilities, and the fan base to succeed, but none of that matters if it doesn't translate into consistent performance on track. The Scuderia needs to act quickly, whether it's improving their technical responsiveness, addressing the communication breakdowns, or adjusting their race strategy. Without bold action, the 2025 season could quickly turn into another what could have been. For a team with Ferrari's history and reputation, that's simply not acceptable. Ferrari isn't built for near misses, they're built to dominate. 3 races into the 2025 season, Ferrari's situation is already dire. The Japanese Grand Prix at Suzuka didn't just reveal a subpar performance on track, it exposed a team in crisis. With a car that can't compete with Red Bull or McLaren, race strategies lacking boldness, and communication problems growing, Ferrari is at a crossroads. The leaked radio conversations between Hamilton and Leclerc are more than just behind-the-scenes drama, they're a snapshot of a deeper issue within the team. If Ferrari doesn't act soon, they may find themselves unable to recover, and if that happens, they risk wasting another season of potential, not just for the drivers, but for their entire legacy. Now that you've heard the inside story, what do you think? Is Ferrari's crisis bigger than just their car, or is it time for a massive restructuring within the team? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Cars Exposed for all the latest updates on Ferrari's journey through this turbulent season. Trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next.